Got breaking news in the NBA. There has been a massive three-team trade, and by massive, of course, I'm being a little exaggerative in this one. Maybe not the biggest deal, but it is the start of the trade season. Of course, we thought Bol Bol was getting traded to the Detroit Pistons just a little bit over a week ago. That trade actually got brought back because of a failed physical. Detroit felt like they no longer wanted to do it with a second-round pick going out the door. And in that video, I talked about Denver wanting to wash its hands of Bol Bol, and Bol Bol has been traded again. This time with the understanding that he's going to be undergoing foot surgery. He's going to be out 8 to 12 weeks. And it's an interesting team that got involved in it here. Let's go ahead and pull it up on the screen so you guys can actually see the trade here. Denver, Boston, and San Antonio, according to Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, are making a three-way trade that includes Juancho Hernangomez to the Spurs. Bryn Forbes goes to Denver in this one. Bol Bol and PJ Dozier come from the Denver Nuggets and go to the Boston Celtics. So it definitely is a very interesting trade. Nonetheless, I'm going to leave it up on the screen here for another minute or two for you guys, just so you can take it in. And this is an interesting trade here. Denver gets an interesting not young player, but a solid guard who has playoff experience in Bryn Forbes, someone who can knock down big shots. And I actually think fits him pretty good in Denver. He can move off the ball, get off of screens, and shoot the basketball. And I think there is a lot of value there for the Denver Nuggets bringing in Bryn Forbes. Of course, it's tough, though. You not only trade Bol Bol, who was a failed experiment in the second round, but you also trade PJ Dozier, someone who they had drafted previously, who had both torn ACLs, and I think had really made a name for himself playing some small forward minutes for this team. He's no longer going to be in the fold there in Denver. Boston takes advantage of it here, brings in two younger guys. PJ Dozier, not the youngest player in the league anymore by any stretch, but Bol Bol, still pretty young, has some decent upside long-term if he can stay healthy. I think he's got to get a little bit stronger yet. Of course, that's been one of the biggest criticisms of him. He doesn't move super well either. But I think Boston here gets an interesting opportunity to look at a guy. You look at Boston, they've historically wanted to do this. They harbored having Taco Fall in their roster for quite some time, and now they get a real look at Bol Bol, and it only cost them Juancho Hernangomez, who they wanted to get off of anyway. Surprising here that the Spurs wanted to bring him in. I don't exactly understand as to why, because his contract's not the best. He hasn't really been getting minutes for the Boston Celtics this season. It's an interesting scenario to me because I think that it doesn't really make the most sense for the San Antonio Spurs to get involved in this, give up Bryn Forbes, someone who can space the floor for them. Of course, he hasn't been playing huge minutes for them this year, but I have seen him in quite a few games for the Spurs, so I'm surprised that they're willing to give him away for Juancho Hernangomez, probably looking for a little bit more size, in their lineups. And then for Boston, I think it is an interesting opportunity to not only bring in one, but two younger players. PJ Dozier, I think, could get some wing minutes for them. Of course, they are already deep with Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. They also got Romeo Langford there. They've also drafted guys like Aaron Nesmith. They've got some nice wing players already there. So I don't think PJ Dozier is going to be necessarily the biggest deal, but he's played meaningful minutes before. He's shown flashes as a defensive player that could fit pretty well in the NBA. I think PJ Dozier is going to have a long career ahead of him yet, even despite some of his injuries when he was a little bit younger. And then you look at Bol Bol, I don't see a long career for him. I don't really see him as someone who's going to expand his game, become someone who's a really nice player in the NBA, but there is still that potential. Some people see it. He can handle the ball a little bit as a big man, can stretch out behind the three-point line. The biggest issue is defensively. I know he protects the rim, gets blocks, but he doesn't move his feet well at all. He can get targeted out on the perimeter, and I also think he's someone who, when there's actual contact, doesn't protect the rim that well either. His block numbers are a little indicative of what weak side rim protection looks like when he's coming over, just putting his arms out and getting blocks. He's not actually ever going to be a true anchor to a defense. I think that's a false hope that some fans who don't really watch him have. But for the Celtics here, with their development history, of course, Ime Udoka, new head coach, though, it'll be interesting to see if they can really develop what he's going to be. I think that they're one of the better teams in the league to at least try this out with. I feel a lot better about Boston than I do Detroit. But at the end of the day, I don't necessarily think it's going to be the biggest deal. Celtics fans, welcome to the channel. Spurs fans, welcome to the channel. And also Nuggets fans, welcome to the channel. Hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. Of course, this isn't that big of a trade. I do think that this is the start of the trade season, though, where we start seeing some more moves happen. And even these fringe moves, they can end up having importance. If Bryn Forbes has a nice game for Denver in the playoffs, we'll look back at this trade and say, wow, Denver did pretty good in that. It helped them in one meaningful playoff game. And that maybe is enough to really win a deal like this. If you can get a guy who's going to help you with your roster, you're seeing a little bit of roster flexibility for these teams. You're trying to find certain things that you're missing on your roster, and I think that's what all these teams are looking for. Spurs one, probably just looking for a little bit of size. Nuggets need a little bit more shooting off of Jokic. And then for the Boston Celtics, you're getting some young guys who maybe you can see what you have in them at a price that was obviously very, very good, only giving up Juancho Hernangomez. So I think that's a pretty good deal for all three sides. Get a little bit of shake-up for a team. Sometimes that's a good wake-up call for guys in the locker room as well. If you guys did enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe as well if you're new, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.